Hey everyone, Steve Siebel back with mentaltoughnessblog.com. So here's my question for the entrepreneurs. Are you a genius or a grinder? There are really two kinds of entrepreneurs. The geniuses like Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and lots of other ones like that. And then there's grinders, the people that just fight and fight and fight for years. Their stories are legendary, like, Colonel Sanders. And Mark Cuban is actually, I believe, more of a grinder than a genius, although he's a smart guy. And there's story after story after story. Ross Perot was like that. And there's so many great stories about the grinders. The geniuses are the ones that get all the attention, but the grinders are the ones who get tough. Here's what I've seen over 30 years of working with people and many entrepreneurs in 10, 12 countries around the world. The geniuses that come out in their first deal or their second deal, they're so brilliant and they make their fortune. They get it too fast. They become arrogant. They become overconfident. And the next couple deals they do fall apart. And when the deal falls apart, they fall apart. You know why? They're not mentally tough. Why? Because they're geniuses. They've never been through the adversity. The grinders, on the other hand, the ones that take time, they try 17 businesses in a row and they fail every time. They're 20 years in sometimes and they're still failing, but they're still out there grinding away with this dream in their heart and in their mind that someday they're going to make it big. And odds are that they will. And it's not because they're geniuses, it's because they're grinders, which makes them mentally tough. See, it's the grind. It's the fight. It's the battle that actually creates mental toughness. It's not watching a blog like this or listening to some big mouth like me talk about it or reading an author's book or going to a seminar. Those things are great. All these things are great things to prepare yourself for the fight. But make no mistake, the fight is where you get tough. That's where you actually get tough. And you don't get tough by winning. You don't get tough by making millions of dollars. You get tough by losing. You get tough by worrying about how you're going to pay your rent. You get tough by thinking about how you're going to put your kids through college, or how you're going to put food on the table, or are you going to have to go get a part-time job or working 18 hours a day. That's how you get mentally tough. That's where it comes from. So it's almost counterintuitive. It's almost an irony that we, as entrepreneurs, we wish away and we even pray for adversity to leave us. We pray for the victory, the early victory. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Who goes out looking for a fight just for the sake of a fight? I mean, if you're out there spoiling for a fight, you're a dummy, right? So we don't do that. We pray for the early victory. We work, we hope for the early victory. But here's the problem. When we get it early, it weakens us. And if you never had to go through the fight of a lifetime, whether that takes a year or 30 years, it's different for everyone, you probably never got mentally tough enough. And here's the problem with that. If you continue to go from success to success to success, well, then you're probably going to be okay. But that rarely happens. Usually at some point, an entrepreneur takes a big hit. And it's usually because of a bad decision or arrogance or ego. And they go down, and many of them don't get back up because they thought they were geniuses when they were really grinders. They may have just gotten lucky. It happens. So think about this. If you're a genius, congratulations. Man, I tell you, I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years, and I always wanted to be the genius. I always wanted to be the guy that went to Harvard or Stanford or Yale, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, and I became a grinder from the beginning, and to this day, I'm still a grinder. Whatever victories I've had, whatever success I've had, I've ground it out with my partner and my business partners all over the world. We've ground it out, man. That's really what it is. Not it's kind of winning ugly, if you will. Not sexy. The sexy ones are when Steve Jobs comes along and changes the world with the iPhone or the iPad or all the different things, right? But for the rest of us mere mortals, we're just grinders. Be proud. And this is really the message I want to get across. Be proud of being a grinder and be glad you are. Because in the long term, the geniuses never really get tough. And when they face something really, really, really difficult, they fold. because they never got tempered. They never became tough because the adversity wasn't strong enough. And here's the other thing. When you're a grinder and you grind it out for years and then you win, you hit the home run, you get the goal, the victory is the sweetest thing I have ever experienced in my life. And I've talked to many entrepreneurs and interviewed, of course, hundreds and hundreds of them over the years. And they all say the same thing. It's like taking a deep breath of the freshest air you've ever breathed in your life. When all the tension goes out because you are now standing on top of the mountain that you aspired to stand on top of. And you're there. And it feels so sweet. The geniuses never get that because they go from win to win to win. They don't know what it's like to lose for years. They don't know what it's like to worry all the time. And God bless them for that. I mean, everyone wishes, they were a genius, and that's all great, but they never experienced the sweetness of the fight, of winning the fight over a period of years where you doubted yourself and everyone doubted you. You weren't sure and you were low on cash and you were stressed and all these different things. The victory, if you're a grinder and you're out there fighting right now, I want to talk directly to you. It's the last thing I'm going to say. When you get to the top of the mountain, it's going to be so sweet. You're not going to believe it. And you're going to be really happy that you weren't not a genius, but you were actually a grinder. Because the greater the struggle, the sweeter, the richer the victory. Something to think about. Thanks for watching the blog. See you next time.